Hi, my name is Jonathan Zook. This is my second video with regards to the subject of, unfortunately, contracting hepatitis C. I just wanted to address the issue of stigma in liver disease. Well, apparently 75% of liver disease in America has nothing to do with drugs or alcohol, or contracting hepatitis C either through sex. You could contract it through, say, a razor that somebody else used, a toothbrush. Apparently this virus can live in a dried drop of blood for up to 60 days, so you do not have to share needles, be an IV drug user to catch this or to potentially give it to somebody else. That's something that needs to be made clear. People in America apparently associate liver disease specifically with alcohol and drugs. This is a mistake. 75% of liver disease in America is caused by complications from obesity. Fatty liver disease arising from that. This is all interesting stuff that I've had to kind of study up on due to the Hep C that I managed to catch. It looks like from a girl. The thing is, it's being shown that this sort of virus, it's not something that's been historically commonly tested for since, even since they started testing for it in blood that was going to be used for, for blood donation, specifically for hospitals, that sort of thing. They only started testing for it in about 1992, something like that. So a lot of people have contracted it that way. A lot of people have contracted it through sex, maybe a toothbrush, a razor. The fact of the matter is, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a lot, and I mean an awful lot of people in the city have it. It has gone out of control. It's unlike HIV and AIDS. It is much more virulent. It's much easier to transmit or to catch. Apparently, yeah, you can't catch it by kissing somebody. This is something that, well, they say, okay, through blood or other bodily fluids. What they don't tell you is the fact that this blood or bodily fluids issue, I mean, these could be fluids that were dried on a toothbrush from 2 months ago, or on a razor, or, you know, any piece of metal, a piece of plastic, anything sharp, any kind of needle, tattoo piercings, anything like that. All it takes is for a tiny, tiny speck of blood to dry on that and you to get pricked with it, and you've got it. And you may not know you have it for a very long time. That's the scary thing. That's why it's a good idea to get tested for this sort of thing every 6 months. That's why I get HIV and other infectious disease blood tests just as a standard thing, because I would rather know and be able to get rid of it, cure it, or control it. Like, well, luckily I've never contracted HIV, and yeah, it's a whole nother subject. But these days it is controllable if you were to catch it. Hepatitis C is thankfully curable. However, I would advise, yeah, you talk with your doctor and get checked for it. If you do have it, it is curable. There is stigma associated with it because of drugs and alcohol. I guess, well, okay, alcohol has nothing to do with hepatitis C. That's one thing I need to mention, okay? It will not increase your risk of catching it. Transmitting it doesn't affect it, except, you don't want to add insult to injury by drinking alcohol. If you have hepatitis C, you're going to cause more damage to your liver. And apparently the damage that's caused when you mix the two, it's worse than one or the other, and it's worse than one or the other combined. It's kind of a synergistic effect. They feed on each other, and that ultimately causes more damage. So that's what you want to eliminate as quickly as possible. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how I caught it. I certainly don't share needles. I don't use needles. As far as sex, I'm pretty careful with that sort of thing. So it's still a little bit of a mystery, but given the fact that half the city has it and all it takes is picking up the wrong toothbrush, well, that pretty much says it. It's something that's actually pretty damn contagious. And it's something that really needs to be looked at further by organizations like the Centers for Disease Control, because we've got one heck of a problem here in Pittsburgh with this. All you have to do is just talk with people, and you'll find that out. And if it's happening here in this big city, it's probably happening in other big cities too. So, yeah, they need to do something about this before it really, really gets out of control. To my knowledge, it already has gotten out of control. So, I'm going to end this video with that. Yeah, forget the whole, stigma thing with regards to this. You're talking about a virus that's not hard to catch, especially if all it takes is using a razor that was used by somebody else a couple months ago by accident, or somebody uses your razor, you don't even know it. If you have a roommate or something like that, it's one of those situations. It doesn't have to be, say, wet, active blood or some other bodily fluid getting into you through something like sharing a needle. It could be through sex. It could be through a piece of plastic that simply got contaminated while somebody had it in their mouth, like a toothbrush. So this has to be taken a little more in perspective with reality, and a lot of folks haven't done that. And I hope people get some sense with regards to this, because I've never caught any kind of infectious disease before. This is the first time. Luckily, it's something that's curable, but I don't know. People need to look at this more closely. And I encourage you to do more research into it on your own. And get tested if you don't know whether or not you may have this. Some of the initial symptoms of hepatitis C, when you initially catch the virus, you'll probably get sick for a week. Your urine may be dark. Your feces may be light in color. But there really are no overt symptoms, and you will only be sick for a few days until your body beats the virus down to the point that you won't know you have it. This is a virus they call a silent killer because oftentimes, and it's something like over 50% of the time, people catch this virus, they don't know they have it until they start exhibiting symptoms of liver failure. And by that time, you've already got a fibrosis level of 3 or higher. 4, that's when you're talking the end of the line. That's where the liver starts to fail. That's full on what they call cirrhosis. So, yeah, just take it into perspective, and I hope this video gives the whole business a little more perspective. Thank you.